بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. It is reported in a hadith on the authority of Ibn Majah rahimahullah and his sunan, إن يوم الجمعة سيد الأيام وأعظمها عند الله وهو أعظم عند الله من يوم الأضحى ويوم الفطر أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is reported to have said, verily the day of Jum'ah is the leader of all the days, and it is the greatest وَأَعْظَمُهَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, and it is the greatest of days in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is even greater in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Eid al-Adha and the Eid al-Fitr. It is even greater in the sight of Allah than Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. So this day of Jum'ah is evident from the hadith is in of itself a day of Eid, a day of rejoice for Muslims, a day of thanksgiving. There are many peculiarities of the day of Jum'ah in itself. First, Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam was created on the day of Jum'ah. Secondly, it is mentioned in a hadith that he was admitted into paradise on the day of Jum'ah, and also he was taken out of paradise and sent to the earth on the day of Jum'ah. Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam passed away on the day of Friday. Also, there is a sa'ah, there is a moment on the day of Jum'ah when du'as are accepted. So we should utilize these moments, generally speaking, when du'as are accepted, namely at tahajjud time, as well as at the last portion of Jum'ah, in the last hour of Jum'ah before Maghrib commences, and the end part of Jum'ah. This is a time when du'as are accepted. Also on this day, the day of Qiyamah will take place. So essentially, both blowings of the trumpet that will take place by Sayyidina Israfil alayhi salam, who is in charge of blowing the trumpet. The first blowing of the trumpet and the second blowing will take place on the day of Jum'ah. And this is why the angels' eye, the skies, the heavens and earth, the clouds, the oceans, all fear the day of Jum'ah. Aside from historically and as well as the virtues of the day of Jum'ah, there are certain a'mal, deeds that we should do readily and punctually on the day of Jum'ah. The first is to recite abundant durood, at least 300 times on the day of Jum'ah. We should recite durood sharif in abundance, as the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in a hadith in the Sunan of Imam Nasa'i, فَأَكْثِرُوا عَلَيَّ مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ فِيهِ فَإِنَّ صَلَاتَكُمْ مَعْرُوضَةٌ عَلَيَّ. This send salawat, durood in abundance upon me in it on the day of Jum'ah. For verily your salawat, your durood are presented to me. Also as mentioned in a hadith, on the day of Jum'ah it is presented immediately, and the Prophet ﷺ makes dua and istighfar for us, for you and I, for the ummah that sends salawat on the Messenger of Allah, Allah's beloved sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As well as this, especially in this day and age, if we can't recite Surah Al-Kahf every day, at the very least we should, as a bare minimum, recite Surah Al-Kahf on the day of Jum'ah. This is very potent in protection against fitan, and a person who does this will be inshallah protected from the fitna of Dajjal, and he will have a nur, a light for him from one Jum'ah till the next. As well as this, every day, generally speaking, we should have a habit of, at least at the very minimum, reciting the first 10 verses. We should recite the first 10 verses and the last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf as a daily routine. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to spend our Jum'ahs in a way that is most pleasing and beloved to our dear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our days, all our days in this life, and make it a source of our pleasure, of the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and especially the days of Jum'ah, that we spend it according to the Sunnah taught to us by our beloved Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and bring his teachings into our life. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولكافة المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.